Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Scottsdale Living podcast. I'm Dr. Amber Enright. I'll be your host today. And with me is one of my very good friends, Dr. Mona Amini, not your typical psychiatrist and owner of Mon'Vie Mind Wellness here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Not only is she a great friend of mine, but I do believe that this woman sitting across from me is brilliant. So thank you so much. I can't wait to help tell some of your story today. So yeah. Do you want to do a little intro of yourself?
Yes, I do. Thank you for having me again,
Absolutely.
Amber. So my name is Mona Amini, board certified adult psychiatrist in Scottsdale, Arizona. I have my own practice, Mon'Vie Mind Wellness, that I opened a year ago now. Just celebrated the 1-year anniversary a few weeks ago, which was spectacular. And
Champagne and shopping.
Champagne and shopping.
It was
yes,
beautiful.
It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It was a time to be had, and have been through, different iterations in just the last year alone of business, and that's entrepreneurship. So have had a really great time learning, and I am learning more and more each day.
That's kind of the thing about starting a business, especially with your very first business, is everyone who is an entrepreneur understands that there's never not a time where you're learning.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day, something brand new, and it's wild and it's exciting. So I think like doctors of any level are actually drawn to business ownership because they actually enjoy learning.
Yes.
So it's cool. And I think that they're probably competitive enough and mindful enough that they understand that there aren't that many things they probably couldn't learn.
I think that's really true. I will say that, there's differences in types of medical doctors and you can be a nurse practitioner, you could be anything in the medical field and have your own practice, med spa, whatever it is. But it's a different beast in and of itself, right? So we do a lot of continuing medical education, but that's not a daily stressor. We're working on like clinical things and we're using our clinical hats every day. But business stress is a whole different level. It's a whole different ball game. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we learn every single day, but you have to want that. You have to desire that and know that you're going to have really, really not so great days or weeks or months, and understanding what that downturn means and accepting the feedback and wanting to learn to propel yourself to a better, business model, changing all of those things.
Now, I have a personal opinion, may not be anybody's favorite, that healthcare has been brainwashed. Doctors are brainwashed, nurses, and in particular to keep them inside of a system that I do believe is broken. I think a lot of people can kind of get on board. I know that not everything can be privately owned and privately provided, that is not how we serve the entire world.
Right.
However, there are some big changes that really do have to be made in healthcare. And I think that I call them like the blind spots. They're the blind spots. So, we can capture so many people with below average care.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a percentage of those people are going to need very specialized care. And some of them already know that. Like if you've ever been sick and you've gone to see someone and you're like, I don't know, this is just, it's not the whole picture. And you had a hunch and you knew you weren't really maybe feeling listened to all the way or brushed off. We know that women are definitely in that category quite often. And also that maybe even women are the least likely to bring up issues to their providers outside of pain.
Yeah.
Outside of pain. So, there's like this revolution happening right now. But I kind of want to hear from you why you went into private practice for yourself, why not your typical psychiatrist happened, why you bloomed into this, and what did it look like before? You're a strong woman.
Yeah.
You're a leader in your own right. So what did it look like before that you had to rip yourself out of that ground and plant yourself somewhere else?
It was a long journey. It might be long for others. It might not be long for others, but my journey kind of started. I mean, I knew that I wanted to do psychiatry in med school. So I went through that route, went through residency. And the entire time that I was a resident and going through that process, it's a part of your education. And like you said, you're treated very differently. Like you're in learning, you're in this healthcare system being trained. And so, speaking in terms of the minorities and women, we have very little education on women's mental health and peripartum or postpartum and all of those things. And then talk about the lack of diversity and inclusion training, if at all you get, right? About minorities and African Americans, Latinos, Latinas, Native Americans, but very little. And you kind of have to learn it in your own right. You have to learn it independently, and you kind of go through the systems at play, whether you're in community mental health or wherever you're at, you're forced, because a lot of those patients are within your demographic of patient population.
So your environment drives the learning instead of you learning it and then bringing it in.
Exactly. And it wasn't a conjoined effort. That purpose and my alignment of what my morals and my desire to help people and support my own medical staff and the NPs and RNs, MAs, MDs under me wasn't shared, let's say, within the cusp of the other C-suite members or leadership. And it was kind of like, it was time after time after time that this would happen. And just noticing that, and also gaining insight in each role that I was playing, either clinically or administratively, noticing that here are the factors that really worked for patients, and here are the factors that really didn't. And really taking that all in and forming my own concierge practice. And that was where that just came about. I mean, I was at a point where I was in a position where I was in a C-suite role, and I was tired of seeing the system fail patients time and time and time again. Mm-hmm. And it is a system where it's revenue driven, it's traditional, it's, 5 to 10 minute visits, push them out the door because you need to see somebody else because otherwise insurance doesn't really pay you and reimburse you very well. But in 5 to 10 minutes, you can't ascertain anything in mental health wise, like for a patient, and get them comfortable sitting in front of you in a chair and really divulging their personal life. This isn't just me giving you a high blood pressure medication and checking that objectively. This is a lot of like relationship building. And so that's kind of where I wanted to steer into the direction of the practice, and that I want to create an environment that is non-judgmental, very upscale, very much me, my authentic self. Like if you knew me out in the community, my practice is Mona. That's Dr. Mona. It's very upscale, sophisticated, whole person. I'm addressing all of the issues, lifestyle, relationships, not just mental health and treating you like a diagnosis. I'm treating you as a person.
So I hear you so loudly on this issue of the 5 to 15 minute model, which is really, it's a 5-minute model now for physicians.
Yeah.
And what is the primary objective if you have 5 minutes with someone? What do you even ask?
How are you doing today? How are your meds doing? Are you having any side effects? And pretty much, do you have any thoughts of ending your life or, something along those lines? I mean,
only
it's
the extremes.
The extremes, because what else am I going to be able to get from you in 5 to 7 minutes? It's so little. And I really did not feel that was why I was driven into psychiatry. My original drive into psychiatry was, you have this like premonition. It's the beautiful chaise lounge couch and, the psychiatrist sitting either behind you or with you and talking through things in your life. It's more therapeutic. It's actually just you forming this like really great rapport and therapeutic relationship with your patient. It's not a one and done.
I keep thinking of that show, The Sopranos.
Yeah. I've heard them all, Billions and Sopranos and all of these others.
Successful people have to trust the people around them.
Yes.
And they have to know when they've plugged someone in that doesn't fit.
Right.
And you can't do that without getting to know them, without them challenging you, without you being able to express something in your fully authentic verbiage, in your fully authentic reactionary time.
Right.
And I can't do that in 5 minutes. That's like me saying to anyone, I'm going to put you in front of this 50-person crowd and you're going to give a presentation on, and then insert anything you think you're good at. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh,
you're in
like
shock.
in public, I can't find my words. I can't find my words.
Yep.
And so that's the pressure that a lot of people feel going in to even go to a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to tell people, like, write down these 5 things you really want to hit on. It's on paper. Even if you can't, you just slide this paper over and ask them to walk you through your primary concerns for this kind of doctor.
Right.
And sometimes they don't even know what kind of doctor does what. It's like the relationship piece. You want to know, you want to trust, and you want to know what you're supposed to expect from the person sitting across from you. So am I supposed to walk out of here with a script for a new medication? Am I supposed to walk out of here with an appointment? Did they actually do that? It's very complicated when there's little time and when you don't know what the expectation is. So what was the last straw for you?
There were many. The straw that broke the camel's back was really, I was in this great position, high level. I felt I was doing a really great job. There were multiple just differences in opinions with the board and all of those things. And multiple times through kind of my more higher level position roles where I was backed into a corner. And being backed into a corner as a female leader is very uncomfortable. I mean, it is to the point where I talk about this a lot of times with a lot of like my female peers that are also female entrepreneurs, startups, or owners, that in order to really be successful, yes, you have to have a little bit of that feminine masculinity. Like you have to show that strength, that strong, compassionate, whatever, empowered, you name it, insert every single adjective that we are supposed to be and act like. But at the end of the day, it's exhausting, it's tiresome, and you're almost bringing yourself into this like fake facade. And that's not what I wanted to be. I wanted to be somebody that really cared and had really great creative ideas and really accepted feedback from my C-suite members, from the board. But on the other end of the spectrum, when you're minimizing the roles of the people that I serve, which are ultimately my med staff and my patients, that's the whole basis of your company and organization. And if I can't be the leader that is really being the role model for them, and you're not allowing me to do that, then I can't serve that. It was not in my right. It was not my purpose any longer. And there were so many things happening in that year alone, turning 40 and all of these things. And I was like, this is the time. And if I don't take this on now, I don't know if I ever will. And it's easy for any physician to return to clinical work. I can always return to that. I could always return to an administrative role. But when your views and everything that you're trying to support, and really ethically and morally, it wasn't that I was saying we're not going to go with this particular plan because of whatever reason. It was always, no, what bottom line, or this revenue, or we can't give bonuses out for whatever reason, but we're in the green. Tell me why we can't support our staff. It was a lot, but ultimately it's just trying to be the female leader that I wanted to be and not taking that on as somebody else's view of what a female leader should be any longer.
Did you know that it's 2024 and 50 years ago exactly, women could not get a business loan?
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
I know.
And you mentioned backed in a corner, and you don't have to give me any specific examples, but in my mind, I immediately thought of 5 times where I've physically, by a male counterpart, been taking steps back because they were in my space. They did not understand. I mean, I've had all kinds of situations in healthcare where I did not feel in a moment like an educated, strong, independent woman who had any choice but to let someone advance on me as more than my gender.
Right.
That was so uncomfortable, and I didn't know how to react, and creating a boundary for that even felt uncomfortable. Why should I have to? Why was that necessary? And now what do I do when I have to go to work tomorrow? Was it too harsh? Do I have to go apologize? And so I hear you, as I know you are a strong woman. I know you are a sensitive woman. I know that you don't like putting anyone down or in their place, and you would prefer never to have to do that.
Right.
Because I know you as a friend. I know that about you. So when I think of you, I think of this phone call to someone who's always resource oriented and driven, and someone who is always going to make me feel better at the end of a phone call, whether it's 2 minutes or 2 hours. And I know that that was something that was important to you when you created your business. So you're talking about like, I wanted to, represent the patient, and I wanted to represent all of these employees and show them that this is the idealistic culture of our industry, of our business. And sometimes the world doesn't want you to do that. They want you to essentially be a nice face that drives people into productivity.
100%.
And that's a sucky role.
Yeah. That's not what I was hired for. Like, that's not what I interviewed for. That's not what my intention was. You want to market me on that front, I'll market you happily.
Smile.
But it has to align with my values. I'm never, ever going to market or sponsor or brand with something that I don't believe in. And that is very, very, that's like, absolutely, that's a non-negotiable for me. And time again, healthcare systems, they just bring you down. And you as a physician, they need you on that post for that position for a reason, right? They have to say they have an MD. They have to say they have somebody that is delegating and, supporting and all of that. But what happens behind the scenes is that that's not really the case. You're being really reprimanded at times for acknowledging how well your staff is doing. And can we provide them with like birthday support and cards? I mean, I kid you not, the littlest things were denied. And, I remember so many times, time and time again, you received really great feedback. And I was like, after the second or third time of somebody telling me that, I was like, is this actually a negative thing that you're telling me? Am I supposed to fly off the handle for you because you are not going to see that from me? You are going to see a very, drawn in. I'm very organized, tidy. Here's what our needs are, very regimented. And, I'm very KPI driven. I know my strategies. I will support you in that realm, in that sense. But also take a look at the person who's speaking in front of you as not just the gender, not just a pretty face, but actually somebody who's trying to make a change. And at that point in time, after so many of these iterations of posts of businesses, I decided that this is a tool that I can utilize on my own, and really wanted to do that because I wanted to it wasn't just about the practice. It was about thought leadership and speaking and really destigmatizing mental health for people in general. And I wanted to share that because I heard throughout all of these years that I was like a very gentle, fresh face for people that, were interested in mental health or psychiatry, but didn't know where to turn to, didn't know who to go to, because everything else was so cold. It was not inviting. It was not anything that they would enjoy going into in a doctor's office. And, I'd have peers, friends, family, anybody calling me, you're so supportive, etc. And so you take that in, you support that, and you absorb some of those really great things that are being spoken about you. And I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do
that
it.
Brand.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to create this brand. That's it. And my brand is not your typical psychiatrist, because I'm legitimately not your typical psychiatrist. I talk about how music is therapy for me, and, house music and EDM, and how much joy via dancing and just the beats and everything in general, what that does to me and what that does to my meditative state.
Okay. So if you don't know Dr. Amini, she can be at a show in a corner of a table, and she is absorbed into the music.
Yeah.
It is one with her. Nothing can distract her. And she is literally feeling all of the emotions that the music can hand.
Yes.
And it's actually beautiful to watch. It's like watching a ballerina do her art. You guys actually took me to the ballet. Yeah. Thank you. It was fabulous.
It was a wonderful night.
It was amazing.
Yes.
And watching the dancers evokes emotion.
Yes.
You're feeling the story, and I cried 3 times at that ballet. And it was beautiful. And watching someone enjoy their passion, it's like watching a race car driver get a W.
Yeah.
It is beautiful to watch someone build something that they can enjoy, or enjoy something that just truly pleases the senses. And you hope that everybody gets to experience something like that in their day, in their week, has something to look forward to. I think it's part of our design for longevity, how we keep making it. And, I know that some of that is built into your business, the culture of it.
Yes.
But do you believe that that is really what psychiatry is today? Did you know, do you even think that that's what you thought you were getting into? Psychiatry, whatever it was when you first said ooh, I'm going to be a psychiatrist. I'm interested in mental health. Is it what it looked like to you right now?
No.
Were you finding joy, or were you just hearing misery?
I was hearing a lot. I was feeling and hearing a lot of misery, honestly. It was a lot of, originally, again, kind of like the Chaise Lounge and all of these books and, the psychology and the underlying themes of everything that I used to love. And, even in English literature, that's what a psychiatrist was. That's what a psychologist was. And that they helped people. They help people through their journey and seasons of life. Today's psychiatry, I felt, just was no, we're just med pushers in a way. We're just prescribing 5 minutes and then send you on your way with your antidepressant and whatever. And I'm but there's so much change that patient needs. We're not addressing the underlying issues. Why are we not doing that? And then we're pigeonholing so many different professions in medicine, and we're saying that, if you even like Eastern medicine or the integrative model, you must be an integrative psychiatrist, or you must be a holistic psychiatrist. You can't have everything and all. If you want to do sports psychiatry, you must be a sports psychiatrist and nothing else, or child and adolescent, you name it. I'm no, this is, again, that's my nature, is taking everything that I've ever learned and taking that with the concept of these are the things that have positively affected patients and people over time. It's not anything that I have to have a one-stop solution for, and I don't need to super subspecialize in. I have the knowledge base, bringing in all of these factors that are really about lifestyle and wellness and open communication with your patients. Amazing, mind-blowing how spending some time learning about your patients and where they're at and meeting them where they're at in their life right now, and understanding what happened in their timeline up until that point and where they want their future to be, how that can help with what I'm doing and how I can share that journey and just mediate that with them. So that's really the key. That's what I went into psychiatry for. And that's where all of these tools and everything that I was doing up until, 2023, when I built the practice, was not that. And it was disheartening.
I feel that from you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like that you just hit on is you said, I want to get to know and learn about the patient sitting across from me. And I think that has so many benefits because people are coming to you for help and they're also really scared of the diagnosis you might label them with.
Yes.
And if you aren't taking that time and they hear something they're afraid of, what is the natural response to fear? Well, we know what they are. And essentially it may be that they never seek help for that again,
Right.
that they can't acknowledge it, that you might have delivered it in a way that they were not open or receptive to at that time, instead of coming in from the angle that says, we're going to work through this. And I think there might be some things going on. I want to dig into this more, but I'm thinking along the lines of, and some people really need that. I would say most people probably need that, if everybody could go into a new job with training, they might be more successful.
Yes.
Sometimes a job is plopped into your lap and you're like, I'm going to do the best with what I can.
Yeah. Fake
or
it till
other
you make
people
it.
cry until they quit. And, there's a whole diverse program out there of types of people. But, if you could go into everything with that little bit of training, like, there could be some help for this. And I'm kind of thinking along this line. And this is something we can work with. And if you know that these are not your strongest areas, if I know that productivity is not my best area, I'm going to work on my productivity, but I can also use these other tools that I'm naturally gifted with to get me through whatever it is faster. And I applaud you for making that the culture of your business. And also you brought up this really big thing about collaboration. I know you don't take everybody. I've tried to refer all kinds of people over to you and you're like, you know what? I think this would be a good fit for so-and-so.
Yes.
Sounds like this. And then you just send me the number so I can connect them. But you've been so singularly helpful to me in a variety of ways, including finding resources I didn't even think about for women friends of mine, for male friends of mine, for people who are going through all kinds of stages and ages of life. And that resonates with me, that you're not the one person that thinks they're the guy for everything.
Never.
What brought you there?
I've always been that way. I'm always that I love leadership. I've always been in that role. Like if you knew me in elementary school, I was student council president from back then, back in the day. I was the girl. So I was always, though, it was a collaboration. Student council and whatever other clubs and extracurriculars that you were in was a collaboration. It wasn't just you. You make the team the great team. You can lead that team, but ultimately it's a collaborative effort. And with all of the solutions that I've, kind of made and all of the networks that I had built through the cusp of the last 10 years and serving in the Arizona Psychiatric Society and executive roles and president. And
you built your own networking group.
I did.
Not even a little one.
Right.
It was like a powerful women's entrepreneurial leadership in medicine group.
So, that's so exciting, right? That just feeds me because I love elevating and empowering others. It doesn't matter male or female. Obviously, I'm biased because I've been,
because this is me.
This is me. And I do love my women because I want to empower them. I've been in those roles where you are minimized, as much as they like to say in the corporate world that we aren't and we're unequal. There is no really equality. It's very hard unless you have an all women company that has females at the board and in the C-suite roles. But other than that, it's very hard because you're constantly, trying to shed this facade that you could potentially become pregnant. You could potentially want to be a mom and actually be a wife and a good family member and want to be with your friends. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is about, in mental health in general, we have to collaborate. You've got social workers that do a phenomenal job in whatever, landscape that they're helping in. Eating disorder, dietitians, registered nurses, the collaborations of other medical providers. I mean, you name it, you have to know who you've got to refer to. You can't be the, one-stop ego shop. We don't do that. And you're not going to be successful as a team player when you do it that way.
Is there something or someone singularly that you can think of that taught you that you are not in competition with all of these other women? I mean, I find it to be special about you that you are so forthcoming and generous with your time and attention, and you have like a special amount of powerful productivity for women, like a fanning of the flame.
Yeah.
Did somebody do that for you? Or is this something you're like, I don't know. Is there somebody that
maybe
that
she's
stood
born
behind
with it?
you?
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe she's born with it.
I feel like I didn't really have anyone to really show me that, unfortunately.
In your career or in your
my
life?
career, in my life. I think, one of the things that I will say, my mom is a very strong-willed woman, and she's very powerful in her own right. So I will say that I had a really great upbringing with seeing that and visualizing that for my entire life.
She was your cheerleader?
She's my cheerleader. She's an entrepreneur, herself. And she's always supported me in anything and everything that I do, even if it's like some wild thought out idea, or if it's something that is just completely off the wall and my fashion sense or something along those lines, always been a cheerleader. And I think that's really important. And then I always looked up to very powerful women when I was growing up. Like my icons were, yes, they were style icons, but if you look at Audrey Hepburn,
yes.
But I mean, if you look at Audrey Hepburn as a successful businesswoman and a philanthropist, what an amazing, amazing person she was. And the fact that she was such a great collaborator, because you don't see her in just a movie and it's just Audrey Hepburn. You've got Gregory Peck. You've got some Cary Grant, like you name it. She had the all-stars, right? You can't be in that environment without having the support and wanting people to work with you. You won't be successful if you feel like you are the know-it-all and you won't share the opportunities with somebody else. And I've always had that mantra and mindset. And I've always wanted to deliver more education to the people that might, top down that are, I'm mentoring. And I've always had people to mentor, even outside of my own practice. But that's just how I am. I guess that's just my upbringing. That's just the Mona inside.
Well, I just want to applaud you for being that for other women as well. And, with your mom as your cheerleader, you've learned that that's important for other people.
Yes.
I didn't learn that well into adulthood.
Yeah. It's hard, right?
Into it.
Yeah.
And, I can give you 10 excuses as to why, but what I do know is it's really important.
Yeah.
It's really important. Everybody has to have somebody that they can go to.
Yes.
And sometimes it's somebody that you go to that's like, hey, listen, like this isn't you, or you're slacking in this area. Do you need help with something? Or like just checking in.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Yeah.
And it could be a friend. It could be a mentor. It could be someone inside or outside the industry that you look up to.
Right.
It could be somebody you haven't talked to in a while that you know is going to give you the business.
Sometimes you need that. Like, who's your inspiration? Who are the people that are in your bucket, like on your side? Even if you feel that, I know as soon as I make this phone call, they're going to kick me in my rear a little bit, but do I need that right now? Yes, I do. And I think that support is actually really meaningful, because it could be your friend group or your mentor, whomever it is that you're working with. You need that. You can't have yes men all over you at every, 24/7.
There's no growth in that.
There is no growth in that. Yeah, absolutely.
I love your entire platform for your business. I think that you are more than a pretty face, clearly. But I do love that you are beautiful inside and out, enough for people to come up and want to engage with you to talk about something that's really important.
Right.
And I do think it's just like, it's a little knock at the door to say, hi, I'm interested. Well, what do you do?
Mhm.
And your approach about empowering people to live healthier, mentally healthy lives is something, I mean, we're just cracking it open culturally
I know.
to
It's so
say
exciting.
like, yeah, that must be. You are in the future of your business
Yeah. I know.
right now.
I love it.
You're like, we're 1 year in and
Yeah.
all these iterations. And I'm like, you're standing at the precipice of new
Yeah.
and you're kind of jumping off of a cliff,
Mhm.
essentially,
Mhm.
and saying, which direction do we take this with the wind?
Yep.
Do we fight it? Do we flow with it? Are we going to,
It's
come back up?
paraglide, baby. That's
It's so cool.
paraglide. I love it. I think it's so important.
If you could help someone who was struggling
Mhm.
understand something about mental health, what would it be?
Probably the basis of everything right now, and obviously over the last year, more than that. But I want people to know that mental health is not a weakness. Like, stop talking about this generationally, that this is a weakness. It's a silent killer when you do not address it. It really is. And so that was the precipice of the platform that I'm bringing out and the social media and all of this content and talking about music, talking about strategies that can help you in your daily life that are actually usable. I'm not an academician. I'm not a research-based provider. I don't have my own lab or anything like that. However, I can speak to you on a level where it's non-judgmental. You have somebody that you can really resonate with. And I think that's the key and very, very important side of things, because I can't tell you how many times patients have come to me, or friends or people in my network have come to me and said, I've gone to insert however many number of psychiatrists in the past. You are the only person that I've ever felt has listened to me. You are the only person that I've felt has not judged me for whatever it is that they do as a profession or who they are. And the only person that has ever given me time. And it's really unfortunate that I have to hear those things, but it's that feedback that has led me to where I'm at today and where I feel that people need to like just absorb this information, because we're in the digital age. And I want to take that in and want to show you that you could be a sophisticated, empowered female leader who's an MD, who also has an MBA, who also is a great mother, a great wife, a great friend, but is also empowering other people and sharing her passion with the world. That's key. That's the legacy that I would love to leave.
You're doing it right now. You're taking all the right steps. You're facing the correct direction. Yeah. And I can't wait to see where you go. That is our episode today with Dr. Mona Amini, not your typical psychiatrist, owner of Mon'Vie Mind Wellness here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I cannot wait to see all the things you do. And thank you for the reminder that struggling with mental health is normal. It is not weakness, and that we should talk about it.
Absolutely.
Every day. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Amber.
Of course.
Love being here.
Thank you. Well, that has been today's episode of the Scottsdale Living podcast. We will catch you next time.